Hello Python programmers. So this is the video 10th of our Python basic series for beginners, and in this video we'll understand that what is exceptional handling. So before understanding exceptional handling, let's first understand that what is exception. So an exception is an event which occurs during the execution of the program that breaks the normal flow of program's execution. So just understand exception as a barrier which is restricting the normal flow of program execution. Right? Now, I know you must be confused because these are notebook explanation. Now let me explain you my way by using an example. So let's say that you have a Python program or any program you can say, and you wrote like a 15 to 16 lines, right? And before it was working just fine. Now you made some changes, and now at the line 5 or 6 you're having an error, or that fifth or sixth line of command is restricting your whole program to flow normally. So that problem caused by the fifth and sixth line are exception. Now exception is a object for error in Python. So we say in Hindi, mota mota exception is error only. Okay, so it's just like runtime error. Okay, now let's see that what is exceptional handling. Now I just told you that exception is just like error. So exceptional handling means we are finding a way to avoid these errors. Now there are many questions in your mind, I'm very sure. Now, let me answer the two questions that are very often asked, that why exception handling is needed and how we can do exceptional handling. So, first question is why? So, as I've just told you that the exception is the obstacle which is restricting the program to perform as it was meant to be. So, we are using exceptional handling to bypass that error, right? So by using exception handling, we won't run that error line of code, but what we'll do is we'll bypass that command and move to the commands that are actually working. Now I'll show you how that will work. So let's move on to the working of how exceptional handling works. Okay, so you got the answer for why? Because we want to bypass the faulty section of the code. Okay, now this is a syntax of exception handling. We have three main keywords: try, except, and finally. Now let me explain these three terms roughly first, then we'll move to our code editor and see the actual application. So first is try. Now let's say that you have a big program and you know that a specific line of code or a specific section of the code are prone to error or are very much suspected to have an error. So what you'll do is you'll place that section of the code in try and say to Python, okay, just try these lines of code, and if they don't work, move to the except block. So now we come to the except block. So except block are the backup commands. If the code in the try section don't work, we move to the except block. So except block can work in two ways. First is what I call the vanilla except, in which we just provide the except and not the name of the exception, right? So now let me move to the code editor so that I can show this more clearly. So no, this one is not. This is for the next video. So let me remove some lines from here, or let me just explain you here only. So let's say that we have two input from user, A and B, right? So we want to perform this division operation. Now we know that user are stupid. Okay, user can input many unrequired values here, like they can enter a character, they can enter 0 in the value B and raise the 0 division error, and yeah, they can screw the code up. Okay, so what we have done here is we have put this this line of code inside this try block. So we are asking to Python, okay, try this line, and if this line works, okay, no problem, just run this. And if this line doesn't work, then go to this except block. Now, as I have told you in the slide, that except block works in two ways. First is vanilla way. This is what I call. In this, we won't specify any type of error. We just say if this code is having an error, move to this except block. And the second way is by specifying the error name. Like here, if the user enters 0 for B, then we'll have a 0 division error. So this line of code will be executed. Okay, so now we understood that how try and except work. Okay, let's move to the third part, which is finally. Now this is the mandatory section or the mandatory block of this exception handling. Let's say that you're working on a file or a database or anything which needs to be closed after it is opened first. Okay, so we'll place that closing command here, so that even if the task in the try section won't work, at least we'll be able to close the database or close the file. Now this is just an example. You can write any command here. I'm just simply printing some values. Okay, so now let me run this piece of code and show you that how this works. Just a second. So let's run this, and python1.py. okay, so let's first try the try section. So let's 2 and 1 and okay, and other error. Okay, so let me remove this section first. This is for the next slide one. Okay, so let me remove this, and now let's run this once again. 2 and 1. Okay, so other errors is again okay, I don't know, I guess this should be float. So let's try with float. And anyway, we know that our program is working. I try and except is working. This was just for my, so you can see it is working. 1 and 2. Okay, so yeah, we need to define float here, otherwise it will raise an error. Okay, so for now the try block is working, and finally block will work because this is a mandatory block. Now let's see what will happen if we provide any, let's say alphabet. So you can see other errors. This one, other errors is printed because this except block was executed, and this finally block will be executed anyway. Now let's move and let's provide 0 at the B value. So here you can see 0 error statement. So this 0 division error except block was executed. Okay, so this is a very simple concept, and I want you to understand this and not just ratify. Okay, so now let's move to the next part where you can user define the exception. Now let's say that you have a program in which you have a restriction. Let's say that you want to restrict the value of an integer to less than 5 or less than 6. So you can create a user defined exception. This is what I have done in my program. And let me uncomment this one, and let's save this and let's run our program once again. And for this condition to happen, A should be greater than B. Okay, so A should be greater than B. A, let's say, is 4 and B is, let's say, 1. So you can see other errors is working. Okay, yeah, because we have created an exception, this is why this exception block was also getting executed. Okay, so we have created a user defined exception. Okay, so now before ending this video, I'm pretty sure that you want to know that what are the names of all the errors or all the exceptions. So I have provided the name of all the errors in one of my blog. The link will be below. You can just go to the blog and read all the things that I've said in this video. In case you're a person who reads a lot, you can read that blog. And yeah, this is it. This was a short video in which I have tried to explain you exceptional handling in as short and as to the point as possible. Okay, so meet you in my next lecture. Bye bye.